I took my best friend's father's life, and I didn't even know it until 3 weeks ago. Well, I didn't pull the trigger. But my dad did. And for 23 years, I've been living a lie so big, so twisted, that I can't even look at myself in the mirror anymore. My name is Jake, and my father was a monster. I just wish I'd figured it out before he passed away in his sleep like some kind of saint, surrounded by flowers and sympathy cards from neighbors who thought he was the nicest guy on the block. 3 weeks ago, I was cleaning out his house. Dad had been gone for 2 months, and I kept putting off going through his stuff. I told myself I was grieving, but honestly, I was just lazy. The house smelled like his cologne and old coffee, and every room felt like he was about to walk in and ask me why I was touching his things. I was in his bedroom, boxing up clothes for donation, when I found it. Hidden behind a loose board in his closet wall was a small metal box. Inside was a notebook. Black leather, about the size of a paperback book. The first page had his handwriting, "Work log, keep safe." I thought it was going to be sales records or something boring like that. Dad always said he was a traveling salesman for a medical supply company. He'd be gone for weeks at a time, coming home with stories about difficult doctors and long drives through small towns. He'd bring me souvenirs, a snow globe from Colorado, a keychain from Texas, a t-shirt from Florida. But this wasn't about medical supplies. The first entry was dated 22 years ago. It read, "Chicago, Peterson job complete. Clean exit. Payment received." Below that were details that made my stomach turn. Description of the target. Method used. Escape route. And at the bottom, in Dad's careful handwriting, made it look like robbery gone wrong. I dropped the notebook like it was on fire. My hands were shaking so bad I couldn't pick it up for a full minute. When I finally did, I flipped through page after page of the same thing. Names. Dates. Locations. Methods. 12 different entries over 20 years. 12 people. My dad wasn't a traveling salesman. He was a professional eliminator. I sat on his bedroom floor and read every single entry. Some were just a few lines. Others went on for pages, with detailed plans and backup strategies. He wrote about surveillance, about learning his target's routines, about the best times to strike. He wrote about it like it was a job, which I guess it was. But it was the 7th entry that destroyed me. Local job, Richards. Target leaves office every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m., takes Route 45 home. Brake line job scheduled for Tuesday night. Make it look like accident on the curve near Miller's farm. Richards. My chest felt like someone had reached inside and squeezed my heart. I knew that name. I knew it because Sarah Richards had been my best friend since we were 5 years old. And her father had passed away in a car accident when we were 11. I remembered that day like it was yesterday. Sarah came to school with red eyes and wouldn't talk to anyone. The teacher pulled me aside and told me that Mr. Richards had been in an accident the night before. His car had gone off the road on a curve, and he'd passed away instantly. Brake failure, they said. Tragic accident. Sarah's mom had to work 2 jobs after that. Sarah started babysitting when she was 12 to help with money. She got a scholarship to college because her grades were perfect, but she always said it was because she didn't want her dad's death to be for nothing. She wanted to make him proud. All these years, she'd been trying to make a deceased man proud, and my father was the one who'd eliminated him. I threw up right there on Dad's bedroom carpet. Then I called in sick to work and spent the next 3 days reading and rereading that notebook, trying to find some mistake, some proof that I was wrong. But it was all there. Dates matched. Details matched. Even the payment amount was listed, $50,000. Someone had paid my father $50,000 to eliminate Sarah's dad. The worst part was remembering how Dad had acted after Mr. Richards passed away. He'd been extra nice to me that week, taking me out for ice cream and letting me stay up late to watch movies. He'd even suggested I invite Sarah over for a sleepover to cheer her up. He'd sat with us in the living room, making popcorn and telling jokes, trying to make her smile. The man who had just ended her father's life was making her popcorn. I started thinking about all those years growing up. All those business trips. All those souvenirs. Dad would always come home tired but happy, like he'd accomplished something important. He'd ruffle my hair and tell me he'd missed me, and I'd feel so lucky to have a dad who worked so hard to take care of us. Mom had died when I was 3, so it was just me and Dad. He was everything to me. He taught me how to ride a bike, how to throw a baseball, how to change a tire. He came to every school play and parent-teacher conference. He helped me with homework and listened to me complain about bullies and girls and all the stupid problems that seemed so important when I was a kid. He was a good father. That's what makes this so messed up. He was loving and patient and kind to me, while also being a professional eliminator. How do you process something like that? How do you look back on 23 years of memories and figure out which parts were real and which parts were just an act? I kept reading the notebook, looking for clues about who he really was. Some entries had more details than others. The job in Phoenix was messy, he'd had to improvise when the target changed his routine. The one in Detroit was clean and simple. The job in Miami almost went wrong when a neighbor saw him leaving the area. But they all had one thing in common. They were all just business to him. He wrote about these people like they were problems to be solved, not human beings with families and friends and dreams. Except for the Richards job. That one was different. At the end of that entry, he'd written something that made me feel sick all over again. Kid will be fine. Jake is resilient. This will make him stronger. He'd known. He'd known that killing Sarah's father would hurt me, and he'd decided it was worth it anyway. He'd decided I was tough enough to handle watching my best friend fall apart. I thought about Sarah at the funeral. She'd been so small in that black dress, holding her mom's hand and trying not to cry. I'd sat next to her in the church, not knowing what to say. After the service, she'd hugged me so tight I could barely breathe, and whispered, "Promise you'll never leave me, Jake. Promise." I'd promised. And I'd kept that promise for 12 years since then. We'd stayed close through high school, through college, through her engagement to Tom last year. She was my best friend, my chosen sister, the person I trusted more than anyone in the world. And my father had destroyed her life. I started avoiding Sarah's calls after I found the notebook. She'd text me about wedding plans or work drama, and I'd make up excuses about why I couldn't talk. How was I supposed to have a normal conversation about cake flavors and flower arrangements when I knew what I knew? But Sarah isn't the type to give up easily. She showed up at my apartment last week with Chinese food and a bottle of wine, demanding to know why I'd been acting weird. She sat on my couch, looking at me with those worried brown eyes, and said, "Jake, you're scaring me." "What's going on?" I almost told her everything right then. The words were right there in my throat, fighting to get out. But I looked at her face, so trusting, so concerned about me, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't be the one to tell her that her father's death wasn't an accident. I couldn't take away the last bit of peace she'd managed to find. Instead, I lied. I told her I was stressed about work and Dad's death and cleaning out his house. She believed me because she trusts me completely, and that trust felt like a knife in my chest. She helped me finish the wine and told me stories about her latest disaster patient. She's a pediatric nurse, and for a few hours, I almost forgot about the notebook. I almost felt normal again. But then she left, and I was alone with the truth. I've been carrying this secret for 3 weeks now, and it's consuming me. I can't sleep. I can't eat. I called in sick to work so many times they're threatening to fire me. I've read that notebook cover to cover probably 50 times, looking for something that will make this all make sense. The other entries don't mean much to me. Random names in random cities. But I looked up a few of them online, and they all have the same story. Sudden accidents. Unexpected deaths. Families left behind wondering what happened. One was a woman in Seattle who fell down her apartment stairs. Another was a man in Denver who had a heart attack in his hotel room. A couple in Portland who passed away in a gas leak explosion. All of them listed in Dad's careful handwriting with dates and methods and payment amounts. 12 people. 12 families destroyed. And one of them was Sarah's. I keep thinking about the money. $50,000 is a lot, but it's not enough to buy a new car or pay off a house. What did Dad do with all that money? Where did it go? I've been going through his bank records, trying to figure it out. There were regular deposits that matched his supposed salary from the medical supply company. But there were also cash deposits that lined up with the dates in the notebook. Smaller amounts, but consistent. Like he was being paid regular fees for his services. The money mostly went to normal things. My school expenses. The mortgage. Groceries. Car payments. A college fund that paid for my degree. I've been living off blood money my whole life and didn't even know it. That's another thing that makes me sick. Sarah's father passed away so I could go to college. So I could have nice clothes and a car and family vacations. His death literally paid for my life. I've been trying to figure out who hired him. The notebook doesn't have names of clients, just job details. But there are phone numbers written in the margins of some pages. I've been too scared to call them. What would I even say? Hi, did you hire my dad to eliminate people? The scariest part is that I don't know if it's over. Dad passed away 2 months ago, but what if there are people out there who don't know that? What if someone calls looking for his services? What if they come to his house looking for him and find me instead? I've been staying at my apartment instead of his house, but I still have to go back to finish cleaning it out. Every time I'm there, I jump at every sound. Every car that drives by, every knock on the door, every phone call feels like a threat. I found his weapon collection hidden in the basement. 6 handguns, all registered to fake names. Boxes of ammunition. A silencer. Equipment for making fake IDs. My dad wasn't just an eliminator, he was a professional. How did I never know? How did I live with him for 18 years and never suspect anything? I thought I knew him better than anyone. I thought we were close. But maybe that's the point. Maybe being a good father was just another skill he'd learned. Maybe loving me was just another cover story. Or maybe it was real. Maybe he really did love me, and he just found a way to keep that part of his life separate from the elimination work. Maybe he convinced himself that what he was doing was just a job, and it didn't change who he was as a person. I don't know which option is worse. I've been thinking about going to the police. Just walking into the station with the notebook and telling them everything. But what would happen then? They'd investigate, and Sarah would find out the truth. Her father's case would be reopened. She'd have to relive all that pain, except this time she'd know it wasn't an accident. And what about the other families? The woman in Seattle has 2 kids who are adults now. The man in Denver had a wife who remarried. The couple in Portland had elderly parents who are probably dead by now. Would telling the truth help them, or would it just cause more pain? I've been having dreams about Dad. In the dreams, he's alive and he's trying to explain everything to me. He tells me he was protecting me, that he was doing dangerous work so I could have a safe life. He tells me he never wanted me to find out. But then I wake up and remember Sarah crying at her father's funeral, and I despise him all over again. The worst part is that I still love him. Despite everything, despite knowing what he did, I still miss him. I still catch myself wanting to call him when something good happens at work. I still automatically buy his favorite coffee when I'm at the store. How do you stop loving someone who raised you and cared for you, even when you know they were capable of terrible things? How do you separate the father who taught you to ride a bike from the eliminator who destroyed your best friend's life? I don't have answers. I just have this notebook and this secret and this guilt that's so heavy I can barely stand up. Sarah's wedding is in 6 months. She asked me to be her maid of honor, well, man of honor, she calls it. She wants me to give a speech about friendship and love and how lucky she is to have found someone who will never leave her. How am I supposed to stand up there and talk about trust and loyalty when I'm keeping the biggest secret of her life? How am I supposed to celebrate her happiness when I know my family is the reason she needed to be so strong? I keep thinking about telling her. Not everything, maybe. But something. Maybe I could say I found evidence that her father's death wasn't an accident. Maybe I could give her some closure without telling her who was responsible. But I know Sarah. She wouldn't let it go. She'd want to know everything. She'd want justice. And justice would mean destroying the memory of the only father I've ever known. I'm trapped. I can't tell her the truth without ruining both our lives. But I can't keep lying to her when she trusts me completely. Sometimes I think about just disappearing. Leaving town, changing my name, starting over somewhere else. But that would hurt Sarah too, and she's been hurt enough. So I'm stuck. Carrying this secret, living with this guilt, trying to figure out how to keep going when everything I thought I knew about my life was a lie. The notebook is hidden in my closet now, wrapped in an old sweater. Sometimes I take it out and read it again, hoping I'll find something different. But it's always the same. 12 entries. 12 deaths. 12 families destroyed. And one of them was Sarah's. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how to live with this. I don't know how to be Sarah's friend when I know what I know. All I know is that my father was a killer, and I was raised on blood money, and the person I love most in the world is living a lie because of my family. And I don't know how to fix any of it. The notebook is still there, waiting for me to decide what to do with it. Waiting for me to choose between protecting Sarah's peace and giving her the truth. I just wish Dad were here to tell me what to do. But then again, maybe I already know what he'd say. Maybe he'd tell me that some secrets are worth keeping. That some lies are kinder than the truth. That sometimes protecting the people you love means carrying the weight of terrible knowledge alone. Maybe he'd tell me that's what fathers do. But I'm not a father. I'm just a son who found out his dad was a monster, and I don't know how to live with that knowledge. I guess I'll figure it out. I have to. Because the alternative is letting this secret destroy me, and I can't do that to Sarah either. She's already lost enough because of my family. I won't let her lose me too.